And just like that, the good vibes are back. UCLA takes down South Carolina, not only their first ever win against the number one team in program history, they beat the daylights out of them.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for your support. And hey, as terrible as last night was, the Bruins reign supreme over a team named USC, SC, whatever you want to call them. The Bruins take down the mighty Gamecocks and, quite frankly, beat them down. The final score was only by 15, but after South Carolina got it to within 9, I think early seconds, it was an absolute domination. UCLA unleashed a lineup that hadn't really played together all season long because, one, you had Kiki with the offseason injury with the shoulder coming back. Then you also had Londynn Jones, who really figured it out. And as they said in the broadcast, hey, she's been playing with a broken nose, got a better, more fitted mask, and UCLA kind of was a sleeping giant. They beat a top 15 team at the time in Louisville without their starting point guard. And Londynn Jones still not hitting a lot of threes. In this game against South Carolina, you had Lauren Betts get 8 shots, 14 boards, and the Bruins totally dominated. Unlike in recent years where you had like Cardoso for South Carolina, where they had that physical force in the paint, UCLA has that in Lauren Betts. They have the weapon on the outside in Londynn Jones, who was 5 of 5 from downtown. That's the player I was saying, hey, if she gets on fire, UCLA is unbeatable. Unbeatable. Now, if she goes like 3 of 8, it's one thing. If she goes 1 of 9, a little easier to beat UCLA. If she goes on fire, think of the big game she's had. When she was unstoppable against USC last season, the Bruins won that game in Los Angeles. When she was unstoppable at Paul Pavilion against South Carolina this time, you're not going to beat the Bruins. And it also helps that UCLA got one of the best players in the country in Kiki, 28 minutes, 11 points, just the emotional energy brought in by Kiki, who can do a little bit of everything. This was Rice's stat lines: 11 points on 5 of 11 shooting, a rebound, 3 assists, a block, a steal. She was pretty dominant. Her efficiency rating grew as the game went on. A little slow early on, an 0 for 3 start. The rest of the game, 5 of 8, really getting it on in the middle quarter, scoring 5 points in 2 shots, 4 points on 2 shots. And those couple made buckets just made UCLA score in spurts to lead to success. A UCLA team that is designed to run with Kiki, feed the post and Betts, knock down triples with Londynn Jones, and all the new fun additions Corey Close has added to this team, in addition to some of the returners, make this team unstoppable, right? This is a team that you look at USC, who just got beat down at home by Notre Dame. You've got UCLA just taking down the number 1 team in the country in dominant fashion. The only 2 teams currently ahead of them in the rankings are UConn and Texas. And I'm not sure UCLA shouldn't be ahead of either of those, because when you beat South Carolina, I think, 36-2 2 seasons ago, or a few seasons ago to win a championship. 2 years ago, they go, 35-36-1, only losing to Caitlin Clark in the Final Four. She had like a 40-point triple-double, something ridiculous, right? Last year, undefeated to win a national championship, had won 43 in a row, preseason number 1. Yes, it's a little different when you lose Cardoso to the WNBA. They're still expected to be one of the top contenders. And UCLA just dominated them. You go through South Carolina's history, right, with Don Staley in the recent years, where they've truly turned into the best program in women's college basketball in these last 5 to 6 seasons, when Coach Staley's been able to win 2 championships. UCLA destroyed them. South Carolina doesn't go and lose by 15. They have an off night and lose by 7 or 8 or by 1 on the road. The Bruins were up by 10 at the end of the first half, 21 at the break, And it really took a late-staged couple of points, couple of buckets there by South Carolina to make it a respectable 15. The Bruins got to the free throw line. They made more threes. And if UCLA's making threes, pretty impossible to beat them. Shot much better. South Carolina struggled so much offensively. 22 first half points. The Bruins out-rebounded them. They had the scoring in the paint, which was something Corey Close has been building, right? UCLA had the wing players. They had Charisma Osborne, but they didn't have the physicality inside. Well, they got that with Lauren Betts. And then they fortified that with better guard play, more post presence, right? You've got a Duga Leach who's coming in off the bench. You've got a Gardner who, when she's on fire, can hit a bunch of threes off the bench. You've got Janiyah Barker who can come in and handle the basketball, get 7 boards, 3 assists, and do just about everything. On a Lauren Betts off night where she's not getting a lot of shots, still 4 assists, 14 rebounds, a double-double, and 4 block shots. The Bruins can assert authority. They can turn you over. They can shoot better than you. They can out-rebound you, and they'll turn your turnovers into points. South Carolina had 4 more turnovers forced than UCLA. So tell me why the Bruins scored more points off turnovers than South Carolina did against UCLA's turnovers. The Bruins, you go up and down the board, every category from shooting percentage, other than 3-point field goal percentage. That's not something South Carolina's really prided itself on. They still went 8 of 12. The Bruins hit 10. They shot more free throws. They did everything better, from the physical, the hustle. The Bruins led the entirety of this game. 37 minutes, left zero doubt in one of a few things UCLA has to check off their boxes this year to be a national champion. One, you have to take down a top dog. They've beaten USC, and I thought when USC played earlier this year against Ole Miss, they didn't look too impressive with a couple of new pieces. The Bruins have been building, and they have a junior class that is remarkable. They have a transfer class that continues to get better, and a freshman class led by Arna Salo, who plays 27 minutes, gets 13 points, does just about everything, and is impossible to stop. And when she's in the starting lineup, it forces one of the better 3-point shooters on UCLA's roster to the bench to come and play. The Bruins are loaded, top to bottom, with talent. And arguably, in my opinion, their best player from the transfer portal this last season hasn't even played. She's coming off of an injury to her knee, which she suffered by single-handedly beating UCLA last season. That's how good this team is, that Charlize Ledger-Walker, and I guess I haven't really heard too much about it, when and if she can play this year based on the knee injury. Their arguable best transfer guard, best player, hasn't played. And they just smoked South Carolina. That's scary. Legitimately scary. So you had to take down a top dog, right? 2 seasons ago, UCLA almost beat South Carolina, but they got out-muscled in the paint and they couldn't hit a bunch of threes late to keep it going. Then they lost to them in the Sweet 16. Last year, it was the toughness and the grittiness of this LSU team who could use their veteran experience, their championship savvy. No, the Bruins are better, physical, and ready. They've been punched in the mouth in recent postseasons, in recent close regular season losses, and now they're ready to be mean and dish some punishment back without rebounding teams, not allowing teams to score in the paint, at least not more than UCLA. Oh, you're going to beat them by the 3? Well, you can shoot a higher percentage, but the Bruins will still knock down more than you. It's everywhere. This is the first game we saw Kiki Rice get some run time. First time we saw her and Arna Salo in the starting lineup together. And that still means UCLA's leading scorer in this game came off the bench and hit all 5 of her 3-point shots. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And we knew how good this team would be. But it was just fun to see for the first time all season that they got close to what they're going to look like for the rest of the season. And they're only getting healthier. They're only getting better. And even on a bad night, this team will be extremely tough to beat. And they're picked to finish second in the Big Ten. I think that is a travesty. Absolutely. UCLA is a proven commodity, and those games against USC better be sold out. The Bruins, they won the big game on the calendar, right? This was circled for a very long time, since 2 years ago when they lost to South Carolina twice in the season. They said, no. Beat South Carolina. Boom. Now their next goal is go beat the next top teams. Their next goal is they're going to win 3 games in a row, hopefully in Hawaii, against teams they should beat by 40, 50 points. And they're going to slowly build into Big Ten play when their true competition will be USC And even then, from what we've seen this weekend, one loses at home in a wire-to-wire loss. UCLA, wire-to-wire win, and that's their top conference rival. Now, the other teams like the UConns and the Notre Dames and the Texases of the world, they're going to have some say. Don't think Dawn Staley's not going to go out there and get her team ready. But UCLA proved that this is probably, and I think, can't say certainly because it seems a little wide open more and more in women's college basketball. This can probably be the best team in the game right now. This is one of the best constructed rosters, and they are battle tested. The freshmen are ready to play, and hopefully at some point they can be at a full running engine ahead. And we'll see how they play. The one question is, can they handle the pressure in the postseason in a close game, and will they get past the bugaboo of getting to the Final Four? In the NCAA era, UCLA in the NCAA era of women's college basketball have not won a national championship, let alone made it to a Final Four. Top to bottom domination. After the first quarter, maybe after the first few minutes, when UCLA got up 9, it was like, man, I don't see South Carolina coming back and winning this game. And they were never close again. That's exciting. This team has been really good. I've been excited to see what they would look like. And in their first test, they passed it. They didn't just pass it. They did so well that the teacher's like, I think you're going to have to get out of this class, go to a higher level. And at that moment, we're going to have to wait for the higher level. When that happens, I don't know. The Bruins passed that exam. I don't know if this is a midterm, whatever it would be. They passed it, aced it, dominated. And it's fantastic. I'm super, super excited. Well, if you knew this domination was going to happen every night, why not go to FanDuel.com? Check it out, right? All new customers, if you win your first $5 bet, you get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. So check it out, FanDuel.com. If you're a new customer, if you're like, man, this might be an absolute full station wagon, just go, boom, going through. Check it out. Go to FanDuel.com and earn some money. Go check it out. FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Again, dominated South Carolina. They had not lost in a season since the 2023 March Madness when they lost in the Final Four to Iowa. Undefeated. Did not look like they were beatable, did South Carolina last year for most parts. Even Caitlin Clark's best effort could not beat this team last year. That's a little different, but UCLA is now the team to beat, and we're excited about that. So get your hands up, Bruins fans. One of the best victories in this program's history, especially during the NCAA era. Nothing better. First ever win over a number 1 ranked team. And hey, they might be that number 1 ranked team next. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.